Hello everyone and welcome. This is my special fundraising video that I'm creating for my dear friend Caroline. And as you can probably see the details on the fundraiser website, GoFundMe specifically, that is Caroline's story. And this is where I am going to present to you the side of the story, of her condition, of her basically her battle for her well being, for her physical body, for her health, and also for her femininity. Because every woman, the first condition to feel like a woman is to feel whole. So this is so very important in so very many ways. And all of us out there, even men like myself, are a Caroline because all of us have feminine energies. And this is exactly the point of my horoscope because 2025 is going to be a year like none other. No one ever alive today, no generations who are simply here have ever experienced anything like this. And chances are, in this unique configuration, neither have our ancestors. Humanity itself has never ever experienced such a year. Now, I do not want to go into, very mathematical and precise astrological terms and technicalities because most listeners probably don't have astrological knowledge. Those that do are gonna understand me even better, even in a closer way than those who don't. But it doesn't matter because all this applies truly for all of us. And this year, this 2025, which starts a very important cycle, so it's a beginner cycle as well, the beginning of a cycle, what I want to say. And this changes the tone, changes the energy, changes what everyone needs to do for survival. So this is where both the feminine and the masculine, regardless of how they manifest, they need to toughen up their games because survival is gonna be a big theme of the year and of the coming years, basically, few years. Because I can't really give a precise number because from one or the other perspective it's gonna go on for quite a long time because this is a creational cycle. We started a cycle of 200 years in December 2020. So we are at the beginning. So we are collectively getting real for what the future means. And women need to discover what the future femininity and integrity, wholesomeness of the female means. And in 2025, first of all, in pure feeling, in spirit, in the ether, in thought, and then live it and feel it. So, with this being said, let us begin by splitting the year into two halves. And this makes a lot of sense, not just, symbolically, for you to better understand, but also astrologically, because the year is kind of split into two. June changes the tone permanently. But before June, so the first 6 months, there is a period between big endings and completions, closures, specifically healing. Healing is gonna be so highlighted. So big endings. And then also the stages being set like a domino, like a Lego, like a puzzle for how we will be guided after the summer or beginning from the summer to a powerful new beginning that is gonna be a permanent part of the next 30 years of our lives. So it's something that we're putting the foundations for in a very serious but also diligent way. Because on one hand, the healing that is gonna be specific, the first half of the year. And this healing is like washing out something with a power washer. It is not gentle, but, and it is very, very tearful. I didn't want to use this word, but I have to because this is the good tearful. The living water exiting our bodies bears with it the emotion we're purging. So this year, it is a year also of purge, and there are going to be tears. And this is where the feminine, the females, they are beings of embrace. They need to embrace this. And this year, they need to prepare themselves that they are going to be the shoulder. That's how you embrace tears. Your own, but also those of your closest souls. Partners, male, men, sons, boys. This is where everyone will weep. But again, I know that the world doesn't look very rosy and colorful in a nice way right now. However, that cries out that we need forgiveness. And forgiveness can only take place with tears. So these are the good tears when even men cry. And it is the shoulder of a woman that will support the man's tears, of course. So this is where the feminine, like it or not, ready or not, want it or not necessarily, but they also step into the role of the father, let's say, because the planet Saturn is preparing to finish its transit in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is the soul. Pisces is all the sum of all of our lived and unlived emotions, our unconscious. Pisces is who we are inside, the all-encompassing feeling of it. So the domain of traumas, of everything that happened to us in the past, feelings, and problems with the self as well. Our wounds, our inner tears that we could never ever release, everything that hurts us. So Saturn in Pisces, Saturn is the planet of, in big picture, symbolically the father. So toughness, rigidity, strictness, cold, hard, reality, but also the teacher. So in Aries, especially in the first half of the year, sorry, not in Aries, in Pisces, sorry, in the first half of the year, women are called to toughen up emotionally because the emotional element is the strong point of the female side. And this is where, regardless of what your zodiac sign, your horoscope, even your personal chart is like, the fact that you're a living, breathing woman alive here today makes you the bearer of the feminine, divine feminine energy. So you will feel this, that you will need to support someone that can also be the self more than you ever done, but psycho-emotionally and spiritually, even if you're not that type of person. We all of us will need to step up in love and forgiveness and selflessness, because that is also very much Pisces. And many times that's the dark side of the female element, because they give, but then they regret or it turns bitter. This pattern is going to play out in all of our lives. When the bitterness after we sacrifice for someone kicks in. So the first half of the year is really, really, really gonna invite all of us, especially our feminine sides, regardless of our gender, to in a way deal with the past in this sense, and also find the closures that we need in order to not regret anything. We must we must somehow step out of regret, because there is a massive the same person in the same situation can be seen either as a sorrowful victim or as a dignified survival. We subjectively are the ones who determine how that will look like for us personally. May that victim be ourselves, our husband, our son, our anyone. But we are the ones who determine if that person is the sorrowful victim who deserves abandonment. Hence, abandonment wounds and issues and traumas are going to be on fire this year. Prepare, ladies, because the feminine is the healer of these type of wounds naturally. So you are going to be solicited, and you will need to be able to really step up your game from a spiritual and even philosophical perspective. That yes, even though I'm more wounded than my husband, than my son, than this guy, this person, I can still offer selfless compassion to them. Even though I have the same wound and mine is worse, I can still help the fellow human being. And I specifically mentioned men. However, anyone, it can be anyone because all of us have these energies within us, regardless of our physical gender. But we will need to step up our game. But real women, as in physical women, are really gonna feel this very, very strongly. That they are gonna be called by instances in life, sometimes just circumstances, coincidences, the domino of karma to be healers, even when they hurt the most. Sorry. So, this part of the astrology of 2025 is really not a mystery. We must prepare for this because in the first half of the year, a lot of healing, forgiveness. Let's say things as they are to each other, regardless in which type of relationship or context. This is going to be a big must. And a fake diplomacy and non-confrontationalism, and start really dishing out one's truth. And this can, everyone knows, lead to conflict, toxicity. So the female element needs to prepare for this environment because another big energy that plays out, especially in the first half of the year, is Mars's. So Mars rules the male element. Retrograde, uh, both the retrograde itself and then Mars going direct are going to take place in the sign of Cancer and dip into Leo. Cancer is all woman, as in an esoteric perspective. I'm not saying that male Cancer natives are women, not in that sense, but Cancer is the sign of the mother, of embrace, of nurture, the breast, the milk, the soul of the mother, the home of the moon. So Mars retrograde is where we really need to make peace with our mothers. May that be you as a male, or may that be you as a female, because all of us, regardless of our gender, carry a lot of feminine specific wounds. Our mother's abandonment that we were born into, and we don't know why we always fear being left alone, and the weirdness in our relationship forming patterns, why it's there. Sometimes it's really not us, it's just whatever happened to the females in our family, because we are from their bodies detached literally. So the first half of this year, especially towards eclipse which is March. The last series of eclipses is going to take place on the 29th of March. Then the other one is in September, but the first half of the year, the eclipses are going to trigger these wounds, maternal wounds, And then Mars retrograde is preparing us to embrace them, accept them, heal. And then when Mars enters into Leo, it will oppose Pluto. It will be opposed by Pluto. So that will be a big moment of surrender or release, or when something makes us feel totally powerless. However, this is the positive powerless, like the boulder is off my heart finally. I can breathe. This is where I don't have to carry the burden, that type of powerlessness. I can let go of power. So, this for ladies out there, for women, for mothers, for daughters, for wives, is very difficult because this is how we get to the second half of the year when the energy turns to very aggressive masculine, where Neptune and Saturn exit Pisces and enter into Aries. That is the father, but that is the young father, the proto father who is just a child himself. That's the archetype here, but who is guided by Spirit Neptune or his own delusions. Okay, so men can be highly, highly, highly delusional in the second half of 2025, all through into 2026. But this is where the female element, mom, sister, wife, anything has to wake them up. Like, let me give you the simplest example. My husband has the entrepreneurial fever, but I, as the wife, know that okay, we can do small things, but what he wants to do is financial suicide. Of course, you're not gonna let him. Of course, you're gonna battle his dreams and break his heart. So prepare. um, but there is the good type of the young father archetype, where he comes with the dream so powerful that he sucks the wife or whatever female element. And when I say female, that can be his male best friend, because in this instance, the female is simply the support. Because when I say female, it doesn't mean physical, it's the esoteric expression. So the female element has to be the partner in Bonnie and Clyde, because that's also the young father archetype. Because the dream is born, it's powerful, we're gonna do it together. So if you know that your partner or a family member is like that, and that family member doesn't need to be necessarily a man, a manager, an entrepreneur, women who have masculine roles are totally subjected to this. They are treated almost like a man by these energies because they are the Saturn, Capricornian, the boss. So the adventure starts. The entrepreneurial spirit. Let's build something. Mars retrograde in Cancer, but this in the first half of the year. A lot of real estate. Moving here, moving. Where do I feel at home? What is my home? Where do I feel I belong? This all of us are gonna feel. But this is something so specific to Caroline's wound. Where does she belong? Because the society anywhere, in any country, anything, does not make the women feel supported and safe at all. And their bodies show this. But the sad part here is that fellow women do this the same way as men to women, the manager role. They're no longer women when they step into that role. They do exactly just like any bad male would. So this is where when we say masculine and feminine, the role that you are playing in your life does not necessarily make you susceptible to be a woman in astrology. Because your business will be treated as any masculine energy, if you know what I mean. So it's going to be tough, especially that the second half of the year comes with competition, comes with the need for innovation, comes with a lot of let me prove myself type of energy. And this is where women in masculine roles must take a step back and not forward. They must take a step back because that will sacrifice their femininity. And then hormonal problems will begin. And that's why when we ask in life, well, why is my body playing up? Why do I keep getting a lump here? And because I am way too much my social role, and that makes me not be the woman I dream of being as just a simple little girl. The inner child, another very important theme for 2025. We must take the inner child out to play, out to fresh air, and give it whatever it asks, even if we don't agree with its demands. But if you're a real mom, you can imagine that your child, it's not just your inner child, it's also your child, your real child. So this year will require a lot of not intellect, neither emotional intelligence, neither the overfueled passion in the heart, but rather instinct, sheer gut, natural instinct. And if you know yourself that you are not that archetype, you're an overthinker or you are your mind, then you better have a family member or someone who has a sharp, that good instinct. Because this year, the second half especially, first half intuitive. This is where females, ladies, especially the typical ones, are going to be very in their element with intuition. Is your husband cheating at you? And you don't need to go to the astrologer, fortune teller, psychic. Your own intuition will answer that. Whatever you ask your unconscious, it will answer you as a master detective. But the second half of the year, this is when instinct, sheer instinct. So, this is what I mean. Many times it is the male element that has that instinct. And again, I'm not really speaking about necessarily physically male. There is always that woman, a neighbor or your best friend or someone in your life who is really, really a bit manly, not in a sexual, not in the, but her male energies are stronger than most men. Well, of course I'm gonna go and trust what she says, right? But this doesn't go just for me as a man. This goes for any women who need her instinct, who need her guidance. So this needs a lot of female maturity because women are very how would you say that? In competition with one another. They, for sheer pride, will not trust that Hercules Xena woman's instinct just for sheer pride. Why she? Why not me? Or so this is where female element has to really detox themselves. Sisterhood needs to be purified because women will need each other. And Caroline's case, this fundraiser, the most beautiful example of this, not just generally speaking, but Caroline's own soul. All of us are proving to her that she's lovable, that we see ourselves in her and her story, and that there is love and support and unity out there. And maybe this realization the non-material, non-physical part is gonna be the healing element in her life, because she's definitely not alone. But 2025 is where every woman needs to make the fellow sister feel that she's not alone. That despite disagreement, despite person different sorry, differing personal opinions, despite any contradiction, women are still sisters with each other. One mother is all a mother. That's why women, if they choose, can be literally divine, not symbolically. And for them, is not like for the male, the masculine element, the quest, the journey, the adventure, the from A to Z. For them is just B, Venus, passive. I allow myself to be divine, but that means terms and conditions of what I don't allow the external to do to me, or me to become that. So all women are divine and can become in a millisecond once they allow and they acknowledge that they are just any mother. The spirit, the sum of all, the spirit of the mother, alive, physically, literally, non symbolically inside of them now in the eternal present. That's the superpower of women. And just like all of you beautiful girls are doing in Caroline's case, this is also you. You will also be one way or another the recipient of your sister's, fellow sister's love, regardless if this is reality in some women's life. They actually have like sisters and best friends, or in a sorority, or in a group where they feel like sisters, or if it's just the spirit, another woman helping you, sometimes randomly, like right now, a no name, someone who you don't even know, who is a female spirit, just helps you for the sheer sake of being. That is the most beautiful lesson that females and the divine feminine has always taught our world and everything in it. So do not forget that almost in any religion, the divine has a queen who it considers higher than itself, who he raised to the queen status for her purity and for her eternal love. So one woman is every woman. And this year, 2025, the first half is preparation for what this really means in your life and your soul. The second half is to really prove it, show it, live it. So thank you so much for listening. And thank you so much for all the love and support for Caroline. And I really hope that my small little horoscope, even though it's so unprofessional and brute, did manage to inspire you at least a little bit. Thank you everyone for donating and wishing you all the best.